Hi, and welcome to this edition of Albuquerque Business Review. I'm your host, Tony Della Flora. Back in 2014, when Albuquerque Mayor Richard Berry, the University of New Mexico, and numerous other public and private partners launched their great experiment to turn the Duke City into an entrepreneurial nerve center, there was little more than enthusiasm and big dreams. Now, slightly more than 2 years later, there's a physical anchor at Central and Broadway, known as Innovate Albuquerque, a growing ecosystem of incubators and accelerators, and programs and educational assistance to help almost anyone who wants to start a business. With me today to catch us up on the latest developments is one of the people probably most responsible for the growth of Innovation Central, as the project is known, Gary Oppedahl, Director of the city's Economic Development Department. Gary, thanks again. It seems like I don't have you on often enough, let's put it that way. It seems like every time we wait 2 or 3 months to do something, so much stuff has happened, and I think that's the case again. So I want to let people know what's going on with this. It's such a great project. And I wanted to start by asking you about, you came on a few months into this process, and really from all accounts, you were one of the people obviously responsible for jump-starting this thing and getting it rolling. And just compare what's happening now to, say, just a year ago. What's been added, what's been improved, what's going on in general?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me just say that I'm kind of the energy into this stuff, but it's really the mayor's vision. And really, you said entrepreneur nerve center, and that's happening. But really, it's to become the most entrepreneur-friendly city in the country. And you can't just go out there and claim most entrepreneurial city in the country, but we can work really hard on the most entrepreneurial friendly city in the country. Okay. And I think we've reached that tipping point, frankly, last year. And I think we're starting to see a really good flywheel effect of that. We're 2 years into the 4 years. I'm second term. Mayor's choosing not to run again. So we've got till December 1st of 2017, which is about 93 weeks, 2 days, and about 4.5 hours left.
Right.
And the reason I say that, and the reason I know that, is because we have a real sense of urgency to continue to sprint through the finish line. The first year was kind of build the buzz. The second year is connect in the community, get things going. Third year is pivot, swarm, and execute. Fourth year is really to finish strong. And the whole strategy is to make sure that all the things that we do, which is 5 strategies, 30 key performance indicator, and 138 tactics, are all owned in the community by the time we leave.
Right.
We have a vision for what we want it to look like. But remember, we're trying to be conveners, and connectors, and maybe a little convincers, amplifiers, but not controllers. We want the community to believe in itself for economic mobility and job creation. And the only way to do that is to make sure they're involved every step of the way. So we've seen tremendous progress. What I would liken it to is the first 2 years have been getting that rocket off the launch pad. Tremendous amount of energy and input into things. But really now we're starting to see movement and momentum, and that's the key. So these last 2 years, we're really going to work on making that flywheel accelerate as fast as we possibly can, because we've seen some good results so far.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And that's what I want to talk about some of that. So what are some of the programs and companies now that are heavily involved, that are really invested in this and are available to entrepreneurs here?
Sure. Well, every Wednesday is Entrepreneur Wednesday. We'll just start there.
Okay.
And it starts in the morning with 1 Million Cups at Fat Pipe at 9 to 10 a.m.
I've been there. Good coffee.
We have good coffee and good people,
Yeah.
right? So we've got 2 companies, 6 minutes each, and then 20 minutes of the community saying, wow, that's great. How can we help? And there's usually 100, 120. I think the most we've had is well over 150 people there. And it's just a great time for the entrepreneurs in our community to connect up and watch and see what other companies are doing, and to offer help and advice to the companies that are presenting there. And again, it's just another good way to connect, communicate, and collaborate. We usually have a lunch and learn. We have ABQ ID from 2 to 3 at the Verge Building, has a lecture series, and today is Bowtie is talking about some of the things that they're doing to help out small companies in the city. But last week it was on building your minimum viable product and doing your customer discovery type of thing. So it's things that help out small businesses. And then 3 to 5 is Entrepreneur Office Hours. That's free for anybody. We've moved that to the epicenter to a bigger space now.
Right.
And you've got lawyers and accountants and entrepreneurs who've been there, done that, and understand how to bootstrap your business, how to to get good advice for how to form a business, how to get it going, how to set up your books. All those kinds of things and that's free from 3 to 5 at the epicenter. We've got tremendous activities at the epicenter, including teen startup weekends where we've got these teenagers. We've got the only there's startup weekends that go all over the world, but we've got the only teen startup weekends in the world because Taylor Chavez a couple of years ago said, "Wow, why should adults have all the fun?" So, so we had 45 kids who participated in the last one. The winning team came up with a really cool little simple attachment to a bicycle that, as you ride, charges your cell phone for third world countries where they have cell phones to do their banking, et cetera, no electricity in their hut. And I mean, so it's really cool to talk to our kiddos and say, instead of what job do you want to do when you grow up, ask them, what problem do you want to solve? And then, okay, now what resources and learning do you need to do that? Training and helping our entrepreneurs get into that entrepreneurial mindset has been a big deal too. So we've been working with our partners at C&M to train 100 city employees through that. We've had such a great result. We now want to spread that to the rest of the community. So we're doing a lot of that. And we have a bunch of accelerators now where companies can then, everything from high tech to Main Streeters, to solopreneurs, to second stagers can now go and find an appropriate accelerator for them. We have 6 accelerators now.
That's what I was going to ask you about. I think one of the most interesting things is you've got these different categories. There's accelerators for creatives. There's accelerators for nonprofits. I mean, it's really branched out where you can get general help, obviously, but you can get very specific help, even for women entrepreneurs.
That's right.
A special track here, too.
There's nothing so unequal as the equal treatment of unequals. And so what's really cool is this community has really taken off, and they take an idea and then they expand it into other ideas. So creative startups, a lot of cities have high-tech accelerators because those are the easy ones. Let's take these high-tech booming companies and get them through and accelerate them off. But how many have an accelerator for painters and sculptors and creatives and 3D printers and media folks? And out of our first accelerator cohort, we've got Meow Wolf, for instance. And Meow Wolf is a fantastic example of creatives that have going through the program, have figured out, how do I raise funds? They have gotten the author of Game of Thrones involved, who bought them a old bowling alley, and they are going to have a grand opening on March 17th. Wow. And half the ticket sales have been to out of state. I mean, this is the kind of thing that's getting us national and international attention. As far as we know, it's the only creative startup accelerator in the country. And these are the kind of things that we take ideas, we steal shamelessly from other parts of the country, but then we adapt to our own resources and culture in such a great way. It's one of the reasons I love New Mexico. Another example of that is 1 Million Cups. That 1 Million Cups I told you about, 9 a.m. every Wednesday. Right. Well, there's up to 80 cities now that practice 1 Million Cups all around the country. They're always Wednesdays at 9 a.m. We have the only one that's Thursdays at 9 a.m. Why? Because it's on Espanol. We have the only Spanish-speaking 1 Million Cups. It's called Taza, and we have it over at the South Valley Economic Development Center. The community said, wow, we should do this for nonprofits and get our nonprofits collaborating, connecting, and communicating. So now at the Epicenter, every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., we have what's called Impact and Coffee, which is for our nonprofits. We're considering one now for foodies on Fridays at 9 a.m. So this community...
I like foodies on Fridays.
Right. we take ideas that are working in the rest of the country, we make them our own. And that's what I love about this community.
Yeah. Well, I want to follow up on that. I mean, how has the... since this first started again as an idea, how has the community come together? I mean, give us a sense of what this network, what this community feels like now, as opposed to even a year ago.
One of the things I've been talking about lately is let's make a community that's quirky, sticky, and linky. Because we never want to become like the Silicon Valley or like Main Street anywhere. we love our Adobe. We love, now, people in Albuquerque travel and we go see blue and green houses elsewhere and we go, what is that, right? We like what makes it unique. We have such a deep culture and heritage. We're blessed to be a majority city and state for that matter. And we love taking advantage of that here. And I just love that part. So the quirky part, the uniqueness of Albuquerque, the fact that you can ski in the morning, ride the country's longest tram down, golf in the afternoon, go to a hot air ballooning event last weekend like I did, with some international students, right? And all of the New Mexican food that we have, just qualities that we have here that we never want to lose, and then make it sticky, right? Entrepreneurs stay where the community supports them. So how do we build the infrastructure in place so that people don't want to leave? We've had some great successes with that recently. Lavu, $15 million in out-of-state funding, staying here. Risk Sense, huge investments and staying here when they were being recruited away. Wow. The latest one, Scorpios. Scorpios is taking in a lot of investment in the tens of millions of dollars, and they were being recruited to the founder's hometown, which is always tough, and to the usual suspects, Texas, Arizona, and California. They're staying here. They are right now, they bought a $7 million building, putting $1.75 million in tenant improvements, buying $15 million worth of equipment, and hiring 300 people as fast as they can to fulfill orders with huge companies, Nokia, Deutsche Telekom, et cetera. And that's a company that's staying here, sticky. Linky. We love, people here, we had entrepreneurial happy hour is the first Thursday of every month now. It's at Tractor Brewery on the last month, and it was a fail night. And everybody got up and talked about their biggest failures and how failure is an absolute necessary part of success. As a matter of fact, fail stands for first attempt in learning, right? And we had we had a lot more people than we should have over at Tractor Brewery. And what was great about it was you had people in suits standing next to people in jeans and purple hair, and everybody gets along. And so, leave your cliques, your masks behind. Albuquerque is a place where you can be authentic. And so, and we can introduce you to anybody you need to know in the state within a couple of weeks. Right. And so we have that access. So that quirky, sticky, and linky has been a big part of it. Okay. And when people are noticing, when Mayor is going to speak at South by Southwest. Right. Which is the biggest kind of, it's the mecca for entrepreneurs every year. And instead of coming and saying, okay, here's how to become like Boston, Austin, or the Bay Area, he's going to lead a panel on how do you take your own unique strengths as a city and build your own ecosystem. So people are noticing around the country.
I wanted to ask you about that. We just got a couple minutes left here, but I know there's a new national marketing campaign to bring even more attention to what's going on here. Tell me what that's about. Why did the city choose to do that, and what do you hope to accomplish?
So, the thing about a national marketing campaign is you don't want to put a lot of money into something if there's no there. And our tourism department in the state is doing a great job. Local ACVB is doing a good job with attracting people to the city from a tourism standpoint. I happen to believe that tourism and getting people here to look at business opportunities are two sides of the same coin. Gordon Moore, Intel, one of the reasons the Intel plant came here is because Gordon Moore likes balloons, right? That all works together. Well, so now with all this activity going on, we can now show off some of the entrepreneurial ecosystem and some of the innovation and things that we're doing here. So the mayor has said, hey, we're going to put $1 million into this. We opened up an RFP for that. We had people from around the country apply. Okay. We're in the last stages of that. Within the next 30 days, we should be picking the winners of that and moving forward and then showing off the very good, innovative, cool things that we're doing.
Great. Just a couple more things. What's you've been? I know you personally have been running at breakneck speed ever since you came on this project, and it's like, are you going to last 2 more years, Gary? Come on. What do you still have so much to accomplish? What if you had to pick 2 or 3 things that you wanted to be done by the end of this time? What would they be?
Sure. Well, and a lot of people, there's the old saying, find something you love and you'll never work another day in your life. I have a different take on that. I say, find something you love and you'll work even harder because it's so much fun, right? And I've got a lot of passion about this. The thing we want by the end, and this is something I talk with the mayor frequently about. We want a community that is connected, communicating, and collaborating. No more silos. There's only 1 million of us in this whole MSA, 2 million in the entire state. We should all get along, work together, break down the silos. We have all the assets we need here. It's about awareness, coordination, distribution, and flow. So if we get people connected, communicating, and collaborating, then the community itself will have the confidence that it can do its own job creation and economic mobility, and it won't take the next mayor or government or we in New Mexico, we have an inhibition problem versus a prohibition problem. Prohibition is Tony, you can't do something. Inhibition is Tony says I can't do something.
Right.
We need to break through that. We need to say, hey, you can do something, and here's how you can do it. Here's your resources. You can make a choice. Your opportunity is every situation you see has an opportunity for an upgrade.
Right.
How can we use creativity and innovation and make that upgrade?
Yeah. Well, great. I'm sure we could talk for another 2 hours on this. We'll schedule another session here very soon.
Good.
But thanks, Gary, for being with us today. I appreciate the update.
It's good to be with you, Tony.
Thank you again for joining us on Albuquerque Business Review. We'll see you next time.